Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another episode of the Catskull Academy, the series that aims to give you the best start possible in EVE Echoes. Today we're going to be looking at everything you need to know to get started as a missile pilot. So we're going to be looking at what ships are best to start with, what skills you should be using, and where you progress onwards from there, which ships you'd look at moving into in the future, and what skills you'll need to fly those. Now, if you are interested in learning more about missiles, I do have a video up already on how missiles work, which covers everything from the mathematics to the statistics of individual missiles so that you understand how to best use them in your gameplay. Now, if you do enjoy this video, let me know by hitting like on it, consider subscribing to the channel for all things EVE Echoes, and ding that notification bell so that you never miss a video when it goes live, as I am updating daily. Let me know what topics you want me to cover in future, either by commenting down below or finding me on the social media channels that you see along the bottom of your screen. And if you want to go the extra mile to help support this channel, you can do so by joining me over on Patreon. Every pledge, every dollar really does make a humongous difference to me, so thank you all so much. That said and done, let's get started talking about missiles. For the budding missile pilot, there are two competing schools of thought. On the one hand, the Church of Kiting preaches that outranging and outpacing your opponent's guns is the best way to do things, and this is exemplified with the KESTREL, which is one of the better starting frigates for a budding missile pilot. Now, I have done a video dedicated to the KESTREL and how to go missile kiting with it, so I'm not really going to spend much time in this video talking about it. I do recommend you go and watch that one. Link should be at the top of the screen now and in the description below. Go watch that and you'll get an idea of what kiting is all about. Now, in this video, though, we're going to have a look at the other school, which is, I suppose, the school of hard knocks. It's the Brawling build. This is all about getting up close and personal and punching your opponent in the face until they explode. It's all about either speed tanking, or in this case with the Minmatar Breacher, about shield tanking. Take that damage, but just hope that you can dish it out faster. Now, if we look at the Minmatar Breacher's stats, you'll see that, like the Kestrel, this is a Tech 3 frigate. That means it's seeded in every ITC for about 125,000 ISK, nice and cheap, and if you do lose it, it is repairable using the insurance vouchers. It's a Tech 3 frigate. Like the Kestrel, has 2 high slots, 1 mid slot, and 2 low slots, and also like the Kestrel, it gets bonuses for small missile torpedo operation and for frigate command. So if you do try the Kestrel and you're skilling into those, you can fly the Breacher as well, and it will get this, it will still get bonuses from those skills. Notably though, the bonuses are very, very different. Here with the Breacher, small missile torpedo operation gives you a 5% reduction to small missile torpedo activation time. That means at a full 5 skills there, you're going to be firing your torpedoes or missiles 25% faster than if you were unskilled. Now, frigate command this time around as well also gives a bonus to shield booster amount of 7.5%, capping out at 37.5% if you've got the full 5 skills in frigate command. That means that, again, your shield booster is going to be boosting your shields more per activation, 37.5% more, which means you're able to heal yourself that little bit better. Now, faster firing weaponry and bonuses to healing yourself very much sounds like a Brawling build, so let's have a look at how we would fit this one. Now, here in the high slots, I've gone for Mark III small torpedo launchers. Again, the School of Kiting, the Church of Kiting, will tell you that missiles are better because they're longer range, but they do have a lot less damage than torpedoes. The downside of torpedoes, though, is that 5.5 kilometer missile range. It's not a long range at all. You really do have to be up close and personal, but that's fine. We've got bonuses that are going to help us do that. So, small torpedo launchers, increased damage, but short range. Now, that short range is benefited nicely by having a Mark III small energy Nosferatu. You saw there the torpedoes only have a 5 kilometer range. That means we are going to be within 5 kilometers at all times, so that optimal range of the energy Nosferatu being 4 and the fall off being 2 means you are going to be you're going to be in range for the Nosferatu to actually be doing its job. Now, that means you're going to be draining the enemy's ship of their capacitor and refilling yours at all times, which is fantastic news because we're going to have a Mark III small shield booster running pretty much all the time. The aim here is that we're leaning into that bonus of the 7.5% additional shield booster per skill in frigate command. That allows us to heal up more, and if we have this running constantly, the energy Nosferatu is basically powering that for us. The second of the low slots is of course a Mark III small afterburner. This allows us to close the gap quickly, get right up into our opponent's grill before they can shoot us at range, and then to maintain a fast moving orbit around them. So you've kind of got a mixture of speed tanking going on here, being too fast for them to hit, plus you've got severe bonuses to your shield booster and a Nosferatu to fuel it, so that you can actually boost and heal up any damage that you do take. Now, if we have a look at the capacitor here, you can see that with that Nosferatu running, we are actually cap stable. That means you can have all of those torpedoes, the shield booster, the afterburner, and the Nosferatu running at all times, and your capacitor will not be going down. You are recharging as fast as you are spending, which is perfect for a brawler build. We use that Nosferatu basically to keep our defenses up, whilst speed tanking and just punching them as quickly as possible. That, to me, is the exemplification of a brawling build. Now, of course, we're going to do a little demonstration here. So I've jumped into an Angel Anomaly 2, just as this is one that was nice and close nearby, and is ultimately the kind of difficulty you would expect once you're hitting about Tech 3. These are the kind of anomalies you're going to be doing. You can see here we've got a couple of Gisty Slasher 2s. I just hit orbit on one of those. Once I'm up nice, close, and personal, I can activate all of my modules, and you'll see the shield booster does its job quite nicely there. Pulls all that back, and that Gisty Slasher just pops like a... I don't know, pops like a pimple. Anyway, let's go in on the other Gisty Slasher again, just hit the orbit. We're taking very little damage at all because we're moving so fast with that afterburner, but you can see ultimately the shield booster as well is repairing things nicely. If we were to be taking any damage, tiny little bit of damage, and we're suddenly back to full. That's the purpose here of this brawler build. It's just about getting up close and personal. We tap the orbit again here on the Gisty Rifter. Let's get into range there. Here we go, orbiting Gisty Rifter, pull up nice, close and personal. Once we're in range 5 kilometers, we open up with both the torpedoes and with the Nosferatu. I'm going to turn the shield booster off just for a moment because I've been letting it run with the Nosferatu not working. So we're just going to pull that up, and you'll see that speed tanking, I'm taking very little damage at all, like 5% I think a hit. Not much at all, 3% even, there we go. And I can just put that shield booster on for one cycle, bow I'm at 100%, and I can turn it off again, let the Nosferatu get me back to 100% capacitor. Not that it matters, I'm sitting at 70%, which is quite alright for me. And you can see the damage that this thing kicks out against those slashes. I'm taking it out in 2 or 3 salvos, very, very quick, very, very easy. That right there is an anomaly cleared in literally, 30 seconds with this thing. Very fast, and you can comfortably do tier 3, even tier 4 anomalies with this. You've just got to be a little bit more careful with the tier 4. So where do you go from there? Well, let's have a look at the ship trees and plot a course of progression. Now, there are a couple of different routes that we can go down here. If you're like me and you prefer having frigates and destroyers, then we're going to stay in the smalls. Obviously, you might decide that actually no, you do want to start increasing your ship size and move up to cruisers or even to battle cruisers. So we'll start off by having a look at the smalls, because of course everyone starts out in the smalls. Whether you go for the Caldari Kestrel or for the Minmatar Breacher, both of those are small ships. Now, missile ships are found mainly in the Caldari and the Minmatar Republic trees. So let's have a look at the Caldari first. Obviously, here we have the Kestrel on the first branch. Up on the frigate branch here, you have a Kestrel. Now, if you're doing your advanced tutorials, you will, at around Advanced Tutorial 4, be offered the choice of a destroyer. Now, here you can go for something like the Corax Trainer or the TALWAR destroyer. Both of those are missile ships, and we'll have a look at the TALWAR in a second. The Corax is a great one here to go into. Extra missile torpedo velocity, extra damage, stasis web of fire optimal range, and energy Nosferatu optimal range as well means you can web people and drain them that little bit further away. This means the Corax Trainer makes a great secondary brawler. If you're enjoying the Breacher's playstyle of brawling up close and personal, the Corax Trainer is a great way to go there. On the other hand, if you went for the TALWAR destroyer, which I'm going to go here in the Minmatar tree, hopefully get the right one. No, I always get the wrong one there. The TALWAR Trainer, again 25% missile torpedo velocity, extra damage, warp drive signature radius penalty, stasis web of fire optimal range, and strangely enough, small cannon damage. Don't ask why it has small cannon damage on there, I genuinely don't know. But that warp drive signature radius penalty, plus the fact that the TALWAR Trainer is a little bit faster moving than the Corax, makes this slightly better at kiting. Now, if you decide you like kiting and you've accidentally gone for the Corax, don't dismay. The Corax can still kite, it's just slightly better at brawling than the TALWAR is, and vice versa. The TALWAR can brawl if you want it to, it's just not quite as good as the Corax. It's tiny, tiny differences. A lot of it, if you prefer prefer the look of the Talwar but want to go for Brawling, do it. You won't notice much of a difference. Now from there, again, those two trees go up further. If you're sticking with smalls, you have things like the Talwar and Korax Sniper. Once you hit Tech 6, these are fantastic ships that get some insane ranges to them. Certainly have a look at the... I've done a video on sniper ships, looking mainly at the Korax Sniper. But the Talwar Sniper is very, very similar. From there, you can even come up to the Talwar Assault or the Korax Assault. These are, again, about getting up close and personal, and these tend to be better at brawling, whereas the snipers are obviously better at kiting. In the very smalls, though, if we're looking at the like the frigate-sized things, there's not much in the Minmatar tree until you hit Tech 7 after the Breacher, and we get the Breacher Assault. Now, again, I've done a video on this explicitly on this ship. You can find that from the final test. The stats have changed ever so slightly, but not meaningfully. Every ship's stats changed between final test and launch, and almost all of them went down fairly significantly. The Breacher Assault, minor nerfs, but not in any meaningful way, still very good at what it does. Once you hit Tech 7, the Breacher Assault is a great small frigate for you to use. Now, in the Caldari tree, we don't really actually... we lose those missile ships for a while in the smalls here. You see that once you hit Tech 7 there, it's actually the Merlin Assault that becomes our next thing, and that's railguns. However, once you're at Tech 4 in the Caldari tree, you do have the Condor 2. Now, the Condor 2 is an interceptor-style ship that uses small missiles and torpedoes. These things can be fit for devastating effect. A couple of the guys in the Catskull cartel have managed to take out things like Caldari, CARACAL Navy issues using Condors. They're just insane. They are so fast, you can speed tank and take no damage at all. You pop on a couple of warp disruptors into those mid-slots. The small missile torpedo damage means you can actually out-damage most cruisers and largers active shield tanks. And the reduction there to Warp Disruptor and Stasis Webifier Capacitor means you can pin an opponent down almost indefinitely. And that is just, it's great fun. It's great fun. And that doesn't unfortunately kick back in again until you hit Tech 8 with the Condor Interceptor, and that's a long way off yet. But it is an idea, gives you an idea of where you might be going with the smalls. Now, in regards to smalls as well, I would be remiss for not also mentioning the Guristas Pirates. Whilst the Worm itself is mainly a drone ship, as you can see from its stats, and it gets bonuses for advanced frigate command to its missiles, obviously if you're skilling into missile and torpedo as well, then you're going to be just getting extra bonuses. Okay, the ship itself doesn't benefit from those, but the weapon systems that it's firing do, and that's always going to be important with something like the Worm. If you like the Worm, again, I've got another video on that one on the way. There you would train into drone skills as well. Of course, I cannot talk about missiles without mentioning the Mordu's Legion Garma. This is by far one of everyone's favourite missile ships. It is terrifying. The statistics that this thing can pull out, it's all about that damage. You can brawl with this, you can kite with this. It's an absolute menace in PvP and terrifying in PvE as well, so you can do a lot with this ship, and it is of course built around those small missile skills and advanced frigate skills. Well worth considering. But what if you're not necessarily beholden to small missiles? What if you want to go up to the larger ones? Well, this is where I'd actually direct you to my CARACAL trainer video, because I go over everything there of where you'd want to go. You start off basically with the CARACAL trainer, you move into the CARACAL, then the CARACAL Navy issue, then possibly even up to a Drake or a Cyclone beyond that. I do recommend checking that video out for specific details on that. Finally then, we come to the part of the video where I talk about relevant skills. Now, if you're going to be a missile pilot, then of course, the number one place you're going to be wanting to look is under weapon technology and missiles. Now, let's throw a curveball in here. If you're going to go down that route of the mediums, like the CARACAL and the CARACAL Navy issue and then up to a Drake, don't bother training small missile torpedo skills, don't bother training the frigate command skills, just get out there, have fun until you can get yourself into a CARACAL, then start training up the relevant skills there, which will of course be medium missile torpedo operation and medium missile torpedo upgrade. Now, to explain the difference between missile torpedo operation and missile torpedo upgrade, Basically, torpedo operation, if we have a look here at level 5, gives you an increase to the torpedo damage and a reduction to the explosion radius. Now, if you've watched the video I put out on how missiles work, you'll understand that that reduction to the explosion radius means that each missile actually deals more of its theoretical damage. Big point to note about missiles: if you look straight at the launches, whether they're torpedoes, missiles, or rapids, whichever you're looking at, when you're looking at the DPS stat, that is a theoretical maximum. It is nigh on impossible for a missile to actually be able to do that exact amount of damage, because it requires very, very specific circumstances to be met in order to apply perfectly, and that's almost never going to happen. As such, missiles look like they're higher DPS than almost every other weapon system out there. I want to apologize at this point. They are actually lower than every other weapon system out there. Missiles are lower DPS than any other weapon system, simply because they cannot apply that full damage. That said, though, they do get some excellent range. They are very easy to skill into and very easy to actually fly in combat. Then the small missile torpedo upgrade skill, as you can see, this one, whereas operation just gives you flat damage and better application by reducing the explosion radius, here you have an increase in the missile torpedo damage, though not as much, 15% compared to 20%, and the small missile torpedo flight time and velocity are both increased instead. This means that if you're going down the route of kiting, upgrade is the skill that you're going to want to train first. This just gives you additional range on all your missiles, whilst also increasing the damage. Very important skill. Okay, so if you're starting off and you're wanting to go into a CARACAL or into, like, the medium and the large ones, what kind of skills should you be training early? Well, under maintenance technology, we're going to have a look at shield operation, because shields, most of the missile ships in the game are shield tanked, so we're going to want to skill into shield operation early on. That means that things like the KESTREL or the Breacher, you're getting bonuses, the shield's going to be better on those and you can fly them and deal more damage, but that skill is also relevant once you hit cruiser size. Stick to things that aren't relative to size, so small missile torpedo operation, if you're going into medium ships, you don't want to skill into small missiles. Same with if you're going into the CARACAL and that early on, those are cruisers, it's pointless then to skill into frigate command. If, like me though, you want to stay in those small ships, if you're looking at things like the Gamma and the Worm, or the Breacher Assault, or heck, even the Condor and things like that, then instead, obviously, Frigate Command or Destroyer Command are going to be skills you want to get up very quickly. Frigate Command if you're going into those assault ones. Navigation is very useful. Afterburner is absolutely vital if you're going for a speed tank build like with the Breacher Assault and that kind of thing. Micro Warp Drive Operation, very useful if you're going for kiting builds with the Kestrel or the like the Talwar or the Corax. Very, very useful there. Same with shield operation, still going to be useful. Defense upgrade, you can now skill into the relevant defense upgrade, whether that's frigate or destroyer, depending on which ones you go for. Same with engineering. Again, those are still useful if you're going into the cruisers. If you're going into cruisers, then obviously train up something like cruiser engineering, vital with the CARACAL, because, oh man, that thing's capacitor is bad. And of course then, whichever missiles you want to go into from there. If you're going with something like the Corax, then yep, small missile operation, small missile torpedo operation, absolutely vital for going with things like the Corax, the Talwar, and the Breacher and the Kestrel. Anyway, I hope that does round things up for you guys, gives you an idea of what you should be skilling into and the different progression routes you can go down if you are a budding missile pilot. Two completely different schools of thought, two completely different playstyles. If you're trying out missiles and you try kiting first of all, do give Brawling a shot as well. If you're trying out Brawling, try kiting. You're using the same skills, just different ships. Unfortunately, those starter ships are blasted cheap, so it's very easy to give it a go. Anyway, hopefully that's given you some inspiration and an idea of where to go and what to do from here. Do check out those other videos I've mentioned. Come find me on social media. You all know the drill by now. Otherwise, folks, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.